Ooh, what's up, everyone? My name is OMG WTF LOLF TEW. Welcome back to the invasion. It's been a long time. This is the first episode of the post-incident, I guess you want to call it. The whole laptop debacle, having to get a new thing, so on and so forth. But we're back. We're back in it. I uploaded that episode of Raw that we had up on the laptop that I had already on there, so we were able to save that as well, which I was happy about. The unfortunate thing is as you guys saw on the episode of Raw, is there's like a huge watermark over it because I had to use some editing software to edit out a spoiler that I accidentally showed you guys that I wanted to keep a secret. Nonetheless, we are here for the, I guess, first episode of Nitro in the build to WrestleMania. This is the first Nitro after No Way Out. Just want to give you guys a little bit of a heads up because some of you guys are probably going to, wonder where some people are. But I think I mentioned it in the Monday Night Raw episode. But now that we're in the WrestleMania season, things are coming a little more storytelling. Like there's a lot more overarching stories and, not all the main eventers, not all the guys are going to be featured on the show at once. Like, for instance, I've had some people ask me about the NWO. In fact, I think someone even commented saying, like, I should have the NWO just attack a bunch of people on Raw. While we do have the NWO under contract, they're not going to be on every single episode of Raw or every single episode of Nitro because there's other things I've got to build up, and I want to make sure every other story kind of has heat going into WrestleMania. Whereas, like, the NWO story, I kind of want to hold off on it, not only because of the heat reason, but, I also want to hold off on something like NWO. And I don't want to just pick on the NWO storyline. There's other stuff as well. Like, for instance, Sting and The Undertaker aren't featured on this show at all. And I want to hold that off. That's not going to be featured all the time either. So, just, for example, some things are held off for, like, story reasons. For example, like the NWO. They're kind of like too big. They're they're in their own world. They only do what they want to do pretty much and when they want to do it. And yeah, I don't want to just overarch and use everybody. So not everything is highlighted here. Whereas before there's a lot more freedom. It's WrestleMania season, and especially during WrestleMania season, even after we get done with post invasion, it gets a little serious. Once we do get past post invasion, though, things get a little bit more fun as we get to, take a step back away from the war and see, I guess, the battlefield after the war or whatever. But that is after WrestleMania. We are still dead straight heading into there. Enough wasting time. Let's get into this first episode of Nitro. We got a couple of pre-show bouts here, and I will take the time to look up in here. Of course, we have our promos down there. It feels good to get back into this, so have to just kind of remember everything I wanted to do. Ron Simmons snuck alcohol into our locker room, started drinking it. He broke one of our locker room rules, so we gave him a stern warning. And that's also the kind of the reason for this matchup here as well. Also, Sandman provoked Scotty 2 Hotty into a huge argument, which, that's a no-no as well, so we gave him a stern warning. I only assume Sandman was under the influence from Ron Simmons' alcohol, so no. Either way, I did go ahead and punish Ron Simmons in some sort of way, and we had him put over Dean Malenko because I kind of want to push Dean Malenko up a little bit, get him a little bit more momentum. So 73 B- for this matchup. Decent pre-show match of Dean Malenko going over Ron Simmons in 8 minutes, 26 seconds by pinfall. Dean Malenko with a 68 in-ring performance, while Ron had a 73. No worker improvements, though. And in the main event of the pre-show, we have a 78 solid B. Good God. Why did they get these great of ratings? RVD and Sabu are pulling it out. 78 solid B. Decent pre-show matchup here as Rob Van Dam and Sabu go over the Flock, Boss Man, and Perry Saturn in 9 minutes, 49 seconds when Sabu defeats Boss Man with the springboard DDT. RVD was head and shoulders above everybody else. We already know about Boss Man and Saturn's chemistry. Perry Saturn had an in-ring performance of a 71. Boss Man with a 64, the weakest of the match. Rob Van Dam with an 87, the best of the match. And good God, he's that close to a 90? You have no right doing that good, RVD, on a pre-show match. Stop showing me up because I'm putting you on the pre-show. And Sabu with an in-ring performance of a 75. We jump to our opening angle of the night, which gets a 100 A star. Hell yeah. Nitro opens up with the woo as the Nature Boy Ric Flair's music hits, and out comes Ric Flair alongside Chris Benoit. They make their way down to the ring, while a video replays the events that happened at No Way Out when Ric Flair cost Kurt Angle the WCW Championship against Sting. Once in the ring, Ric Flair goes on to take the mic, and he, oh boy, it's been a long time since I've done these voices, and Ric Flair has never been my strong one, so here we go. Woo! Man, do I feel great. Tonight, WCW... Oh, I fucked that up. See, I already messed up. Man, do I feel great tonight. Why did I put an exclamation point between great? That made me feel like the sentence was over. WCW's going strong, despite 3 unwanted partners, but I'm going to get to the bottom of that. Kurt Angle is no longer the WCW champion, and even though Sting's champ, at least the belt's back where it belongs. And not to mention it's WrestleMania season, baby. Woo! But look, I do a horrible Ric Flair. But look, I'm sure you're all asking yourself, Nature Boy, after years of resentment towards Sting, why would you help him beat Kurt Angle? And there, those last 2 words, that's why. Kurt Angle is a permanent stain on the WCW Championship history, and I had to put an end to it. So that's why. I still hate Sting's guts, but Sting bleeds WCW, and having a hippie like Kurt Angle as champion was a disgrace. And then that's when Diamond Dallas Page's theme song interrupts him, and out comes DDP, who goes, Rick, I don't think anyone was questioning the why you helped Sting win over Kurt. A 5th grader could figure that out, and while I know that's not the way the Stinger would have preferred to win, I'm sure there's one thing he, you, and me can all agree on, and that's thank God the WCW title is back on WCW. But again, that's not the why we all wanted to know. The why we want to know, or at least what I want to know, is why the hell did you attack me backstage if you were planning on helping Sting the whole entire time? And then our Flair goes on to respond by saying, oh my God, are you really that stupid, Paige? We jumped you because you would have gotten in the way. If you see me down there, you would have assumed that I was there to cost Sting the title when I was there to do the exact opposite. Not to mention, we don't like you. We don't trust you. Giant could have been onto something, and for all we know, the reason you're so buddy-buddy with Sting is because you're a turncoat. And Paige, he's taking it back again. We're back onto this whole turncoat business, and he goes, this again? I don't have to prove myself to you two, but just like it's been a while, can you tell? But just like you said about Sting earlier, the same thing rings true for me. I bleed WCW. And while I don't think you two are turncoats, I do think you two are egotistical. And the real reason you jumped me from behind isn't that you just don't like me. And while it may be true that I may have intervened, there's still 2 of you and 1 of me. And at the end of the day, I think your egos are so big that you couldn't stand the idea of neither of you two being in the title picture in some capacity. And maybe, just maybe, if you helped Sting, you could weasel your way into yet another title match that neither of you deserve. You two care more about yourselves and less about this company. And I'm sure if WCW was the burning ship it was, you would have no problem jumping ship back over to Vince and his yacht. Especially you, Benoit. We've seen you do it before. And then Flair, he's had enough, and he says, shut up, Paige. Like you deserve a title shot. And DDP goes on to respond by saying, I don't deserve a title shot, and I know that. But what I do deserve is vengeance. And tonight, you're first on my list, Rick. Rick laughs at him, and he goes on to respond by saying, you don't want this fight, Paige. Just look what happened to you last night. But you know what? Like I said, I'm feeling good. So guess what? You're on. And, yeah, there you go. Pretty, it's alright promo. Alright promo to get started. I feel like I got better throughout the night. Not my best promo, but it gets the job done. Nonetheless, sets up our main event of the night, which will pit Ric Flair against DDP. Heenan and Mike Tenay, both pretty weak at the announce table. Got the show off to a strong start, though, and crowd was hot. Gained heat to the Benoit DDP storyline alongside the Kurt Flair storyline. I don't think it gained heat for that storyline, but it moved it along. We then jump to a 98 A-star, so just keep them rolling out. 98 A-star as the announcers, Mike Tenay, Bobby Heenan, Dusty Rhodes, they all hype up, the main event tonight, Diamond Dallas Page versus Ric Flair. When they are interrupted and are being told that there is commotion going on backstage in the parking lot, and the cameras now switch over to the parking lot to reveal Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rhino, who are surprisingly here and are arguing with security when the WCW Commissioner, Lord Steven Regal, alongside the former WCW Tag Team Champions Power Plant, approaches them, and Regal goes, "Excuse me, what in the hell is going on out here? What do you two think you're doing here?" "Well, what the hell does it think like? I'm sure you saw what happened at No Way Out, but let me jog your memory. Your guy, Goldberg, has put his nose in my business for the last time. First the Royal Rumble, and now No Way Out. So I'm here to kick Goldberg's ass, plain and simple." "Well, I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Steve. I don't know. Sorry if I offend anyone with this horrible British accent, by the way. I don't know what you thought was going to happen when you told these gentlemen that I was going to let you in. I understand that we're friends, but this is business, Steve. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you to leave." And that's when Steve kind of pulls him to the side, and he goes, as I scroll further down here, scrolled a little too far down. "All right, look, Bill, I'm not going to start trouble. But you're right, we're friends. And since we're friends, Bill, I'm going to let you know one thing. I will get my hands on Goldberg tonight. And if you and your two goons get in my way, I won't hesitate to open a can of whoop-ass on all three of your asses. And anyone else that gets in my way. You got that?" And then Austin walks away to presumably find another way to get his hands on Goldberg, as Regal just watches him walk away pretty much. Let's erase all this stuff as we move on. Even though it will potentially show future promos, I don't really care, because we will get there sooner or later. Heenan's still weak, which by now we do know. Austin was fantastic. It got the crowd hot. Rhino was good. Unfortunately, Regal performed poorly. That might be why we got a 98 instead of a 100, but nonetheless, not too bad. Here's a good segment. 77 solid V. That's pretty good. The Cruiserweight Champion Vampiro is already in the ring, and he already has a mic in his hand as he takes it, and he goes, I don't really know how to do a Vampiro voice, so forgive me, but here we go. "There is no competition in the Cruiserweight division. The Cruiserweight division will die by my hands. One by one, they all fall to the flock. So which one of you Cruiserweights want to be my next feast?" Not a fan. I just want to put it out there. I'm not a fan. I'll have to probably watch some of Vampiro's promos. Maybe pick up a better way to do that voice, because it's very cheesy. That's when Chavo Guerrero's music goes off, and out comes Chavo Guerrero Jr., who goes, "Whoa, hold up real quick, but, okay? The hell are you talking about, Holmes? You out here talking about death and competition? I took you to the limit a few weeks back, and tonight, I'm gonna make you feast upon your own words. Because you ask who's next? I'm next. And I'm gonna beat you for that title and represent the Cruiserweight division like the warrior that I am. And I'll tell you what, Vamps, I don't even need to lie or cheat or steal to beat you." And then Chavo rips off his weird wife beater that's cut in half. I don't know. He rips off his shirt, and we get ready for a impromptu Cruiserweight Championship match. Apparently Raven helped Vampiro during this segment. I forgot that Raven was his manager. I figured it would have been Daphne, So, whatever. That's fine. Also, Eddie apparently helped Chavo. Didn't know Eddie was Chavo's manager either, so that's fine. Vampiro was good despite my cringy voice for him. We then jump into a Cruiserweight Championship match, which, by the way, this match, these guys have some, I mean, we already know they have great chemistry as we see it, but they put on some good matches despite, being a mid-carder and a lower mid-carder. A solid ADB is nothing to scoff at. That's really great. Decent wrestling, but not much weighing heat. And imagine if it had heat. Vampiro going over Chavo Guerrero Jr. in 9 minutes, 51 seconds with the nail in the coffin. I don't remember putting that in, but apparently we had Eddie distract Chavo Guerrero Jr. Did I put that in? I guess so. I don't remember putting that in, but I did. So, as R-Truth would say, my bad. That's my bad. Either way, Vampiro makes his 4th defense of the Cruiserweight Championship. We already know about their chemistry. Chavo had a 67 in-ring performance, and Vampiro with a 74. Then jump to a 75 B- rated angle after the match is over, but Vampiro isn't finished with Chavo Guerrero Jr. as he goes to the outside and he pulls out a wool bag or a burlesque bag, call it what you want. He was beating down on Chavo before that. For some reason, I didn't write it in. So beating down on Chavo, he goes out and then grabs the burlesque bag, goes back into the ring, and I'm sure we all know what's inside of it, but for the surprise and all that, Vampiro takes his time and then he pours out all the thumbtacks, which da-na-na-na, is what was inside the wool bag, and he pours it out on the canvas. He then picks Chavo up. I think that's what the nail in the coffin is just a tombstone, or not maybe it is a tombstone. I don't know. I was gonna say it's a power bomb, but anyway, even if it's not, he goes for a power bomb pretty much on Chavo Guerrero, looking to power bomb him on top of the thumbtacks. But that's when Eddie Guerrero comes out, because ignore the fact that I had him distract Chavo for some reason, and also ignore the fact that he's his manager. Eddie Guerrero comes out, who races down to the ring and goes right after Vampiro, pretty much tackling him down, going after him. Vampiro and him brawl for a few, and Eddie's able to pretty much, do the whole clothesline bit where he clotheslines him out of the ring. He goes and checks on Chavo Guerrero while Vampiro backs off just watching, and Uncle Eddie saves the day. Chavo is getting better at his gimmick, as is Eddie Guerrero. Good for him. And as you can see, we have a storyline between Rey Mysterio Jr. and Vampiro here. That gained heat. Rey Mysterio, who is still technically injured, but he should be back in time for WrestleMania. So the story we're running here is Vampiro wanting to kill the Cruiserweight division, and throughout the weeks he's going to, take on a different Cruiserweight, and yeah, which will lead to eventually Rey Mysterio returning and fighting him at WrestleMania, and most likely beating him. If that spoils it, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty predictable for most. And even though he is injured, I push him and just not have him on screen. So his angle, or not his angle, but his popularity should help me out here. Nonetheless, we jump to a random match here, which I guess between commercial break we come back to this match, which has the WCW Tag Team Champions in action. 77 solid B, that's impressive for Disco Inferno and Tank Abbott. I originally was going to have Alex Wright, because, they are, the Boogie Knights, but apparently Alex Wright is injured, so I just decided to go with Tank Abbott instead, since he kind of serves as the third member of the Boogie Knights right now either way. Decent matchup here. Canyon and Morris able to go over the Boogie Knights, Tank Abbott and Inferno. 7 minutes, 31 seconds later, after Hugh Morris goes over Tank Abbott with a moonsault. Good God. We also saw Steve Austin and Rhino come out and distract Canyon and Hugh Morris, because during all that commotion, apparently they found a way to buy a ticket, maybe off a scalper, because I can't imagine someone would have actually sold them. I'm sure Regal would have, I'm going to touch the mic real quick to adjust it, so sorry if you guys hear it. Anyway, like I was saying, it's not like Regal would have said, hey, he wouldn't have not told the ticket people, like, hey, don't sell these guys a, ticket. Nonetheless, for those of you guys questioning why certain WWE superstars can be here and certain, WWF superstars can't be, the wonderful world of wrestling. That's my excuse for you. Austin, I guess maybe Regal, he knows something's up here. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. It's just how it is. I guess for storyline purposes, but I'll get to that when I get to that. I'll find a way to explain it eventually if I think really hard about it. But they got tickets, from a scalper most likely, so they came out during this match. That's why they were distracted. Hugh Morris had a 76, Canyon with an 84, Disco with a 56, and Tank Abbott with a 45. Hugh Morris is improving in Rumble, and Tank Abbott is improving in performance. We then jump to a 99 A-star rated segment here. Hell yes. Canyon and Hugh Morris are celebrating their win when they are interrupted by the music of the WWE Commissioner, Lord Steven Regal, who comes out alongside Power Plant. He goes on to take the mic and say, I don't know why you two are celebrating, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, yet here I am to cut your celebration short. Because, gentlemen, I'm out here to tell you that at WrestleMania, You two will defend your WCW Tag Team titles against 3 other teams in a TLC match. And next week, after Mr. Jindrak and Mr. Stasiak qualify, they will go on to WrestleMania and proceed to smash you two delinquents through tables and ladders and steel chairs, along with the other 2 teams, and recapture the WCW Tag Team titles. But I do wish you two the best of luck. Wait a minute. Is that Stone Cold Steve? Steve, how the hell did you get in here? And I can't speak today. Regal's pretty much, approaching Austin while he's on the mic here, and he goes, "Who the hell sold you a ticket?" "Well, I'm sorry. I'll have to have someone refund you your money because I'm sorry. You are a danger to my program, and I am going to have to ask you to leave and have security escort you two out." And that Austin, talks his trash. He's not really rated on entertainment because he doesn't have a mic, but I'd assume he's talking his trash, of course, while security does come out and escort the two out of here. So there you have that. Regal underperformed. Austin came across well, and Rhino came out looking excellent. There you go, Rhino. Mark Jindrak is improving in acting and learning to show more charisma. Jindrak making the most out of that appearance. All right. Proceed to the next segment, please. Apparently not. There we go. 76 B- rated segment here as Mean Gene has an interview with Eddie Guerrero. And he proceeds to open it up by doing his classic catchphrase, I guess. "All right, fans, Mean Gene here, and I'm at the doctor's office hoping to get word on Chavo Guerrero." And that's when Eddie Guerrero steps out of the office and he says, "Eddie, what's the update on Chavo?" And Eddie goes on to respond by saying, "Chavo's going to be fine. Sure, he's a little banged up and bruised, but he's a warrior. He'll fight another day. But speaking of another day, there's next week. And since Vampiro is going on and is gung-ho on killing the Cruiserweight division, then I think it's time that I step in and go back to my roots. Because next week, Vampiro, you won't have to waste any time and bore us while you issue the same challenge, because I'm officially accepting your challenge. I'll see you next week, punk." And there you have it. Guerrero not wasting anyone's time, so I probably won't have to do a cringy Vampiro promo. And he will challenge Vampiro for the Cruiserweight Championship next week. Performance of Eddie Guerrero was good, while Mean Gene was underwhelming. We then jump to a 90 solid A rating here. Hell yes. The bombs drop. The pyro pretty much. Get up, get up, get up. Dudley Boys music hits, and out comes the Dudley Boys, who make their way towards the ring while video plays showing the Dudleys' return at No Way Out, as well as showing the Steiners take them out all those months back. I believe it was through a glass table. At least I hope it was through a glass table, because that's what I put in this promo. Once in the ring, Bubba Ray Dudley goes on to take the mic, and he goes, "Look, I know we're in enemy territory." And this was, by the way, what made me bring up the fact how Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rhino aren't allowed here, but the Dudley Boys are, and so is Test and Albert. Storyline purposes. Like I said, the wonderful world of wrestling. Just ignore it. Anyway, "I know we're in enemy territory, so dropping bombs may not be the best idea, but hell, it's about to get a lot worse, because we're the damn Dudleys, in case you forgot, and marching into enemy territory and raising hell is what we do best. A few months back, the Steiner smashed my brother and I through a glass table. Well, I guess karma really is a bitch, because we had the same idea. Nonetheless, we've been out for a while, but we're back, and we're ready to pick back up where we left off. So Scott, Rick, if you two have enough brain cells to comprehend what I just said, get your asses out here and finish what you started." But instead of the Steiners, out comes Test and Albert, TNA, and they make their way out here. And that leads to Bubba taking the mic and going, I don't know if the Steiners knocked too many of your guys' brain cells out, but we didn't call you two out." That leads to Test going on to respond by saying, "We heard who you called out, but while you two have your own reasons for going after the Steiners, Albert and I still have unfinished business with those two. So as far as we're concerned, the line starts behind us." "You two? You're freaking joking, right? The last time we saw you two, you were lying on your backs about to get your brain smashed in, and if it wasn't for us, they damn well might have been. And while we appreciate that, we never asked for your help. And like I said, the line starts behind us. And if you want to make things physical, then we've got no problem taking things there." And then that's when Bubba... by the way, TNA's probably in the ring at this point, so Bubba goes on to say, "All right, calm down, Again, it's been a while. "Calm down, you gym teacher. Your intimidation tactics aren't going to work on me. You say the line starts behind you? Well, Devon and I are cutting. So what are you going to do about it?" And that's when the sirens go off, and out comes the WWF Tag Team Champions. And Scott Steiner already has a mic in hand. He goes, boys, there's no reason to fight over us. I know they call me the big booty daddy, but I don't roll that way. But hey, Miss Trish, the offer always stands, baby. You want a real man, you know who to call." And that pisses Test off, who goes on to say, "Shut the hell up, Scotty, before I come up there and I shut you up myself." And then Scott goes, "Easy there, lover boy. We just came out here to say that we don't give a damn which one of you jabronis we face, because we whooped both your asses already. But we're only going to fight one of yous, so you're going to have to fight it out tonight, and we'll see whichever one of you jobbers win at WrestleMania." And then, that leads to Scott and Rick leaving, and the Dudleys and TNA kind of stare each other down before leading to the match. Probably a commercial break in between while we go into the match, as the is already underway after the commercial break. So pushes along some stories there, gains some heat for the TNA storyline. And the match itself between the Dudley Boys and Test and Albert gets a solid 82B. Great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Dudley Boys go over TNA in 10 minutes 8 seconds when Bubba Ray Dudley defeats Albert after illegally using the ropes for leverage. I'd imagine I think the Steiner brothers were on commentary for this match, at least. I think I did. I mean, it pushed along storyline, so I'd assume so. Nonetheless, I'd imagine the way this match ends up here is Scott kind of, having eyes on Trish, which leads to Test getting distracted, just kind of similar to what happened on Monday Night Raw. Bubba beats Albert with a 3D 1, 2, 3. Apparently it says illegally using the ropes for leverage. Ignore that. 1, 2, 3. Dudley Boys win. They have excellent chemistry. Bubba had an 85 in-ring performance. Devon Dudley outperforming Bubba, which I didn't expect that. 88 in-ring performance. Albert with an 88 in-ring performance as well, so Bubba Ray was the weakest. And Test with, oh my god, Test, a 91 in-ring performance? You have no right, sir. No right do you have, Test, getting a 91 in-ring performance. What are you trying to do, make me push you or something? What a performance. And he's improving in Rumble skills. This was our Wild Brawl match of the night, so of course I guess that benefits Test, but good god. After the match is over, we move on to an 88 B+ rated angle. Dudley Boys are celebrating, but Scott and Rick Steiner sneak in and jump the Dudley Boys from behind. They beat them down while Scott goes on to mock the Dudleys as he smacks Rick in the chest and demands him to go get the tables. Rick Steiner goes to the outside while taking Devon Dudley with him. He then tosses Devon into the steel steps, so pretty much taking Devon out. Meanwhile, Scott Steiner is still in the ring beating up on Bubba Ray Dudley. Rick Steiner gets the table, slides it into the ring, and he sets it up kind of close to the corner as Scott Steiner is sitting on the top of the turnbuckle. Rick Steiner grabs Bubba Ray Dudley. Bubba tries to fight back, but he can't. Rick overpowers him, picks him up, hands him to Scott Steiner, and pretty much as a way to mock the Dudley Boys. If you remember when the Dudley Boys first debuted, they used to, powerbomb women through the tables from the top of the turnbuckle. Well, Scott Steiner does the exact same thing to Bubba Ray Dudley here. Through the table right here. Not a glass table, but still powerbombing him through the table. And the Steiners stand over tall over the Dudleys after the match. Bobby Heenan was weak apparently, but it gained heat for the feud. There was nothing in between this? Really? Huh. Okay, I guess I didn't put anything in between this, or maybe I did and it's behind this and I just horribly fucked up. Nonetheless, 83B+ for our main event of the night. In a superb matchup here, Diamond Dallas Page goes over Ric Flair in 9 minutes 49 seconds when Ric Flair was disqualified after Chris Benoit ran an attack DDP. So I'd imagine what pretty much happens here is Page maybe hits the Diamond Cutter on Ric Flair, looking like he's going to win, and then that's when Benoit runs in and takes him out before he can win, leading to the disqualification. 83B+, that's impressive for these guys. Two guys, I wouldn't say Ric Flair's on the downward spiral on his career. I don't think it says that in the time decline, despite his age. DDP, on the other hand, is on his time decline, so 83 B+. It's impressive how DDP is able to hold his own still to this day, even though it's a 78 in-ring performance. That's still impressive. Popularity always does have an effect in these WWF, WWE playthroughs, because, that's the main thing with WWE, but still, good stuff. DDP with the 78 in-ring performance, as I mentioned before. Ric Flair had an in-ring performance of an 89. Good God, 1 point below 90. Ric Flair, good Lord. Lost heat to the storyline, though? Huh. I think that was our best storyline, though. It was like in the A region. And then again, here we go, jumping it right back up. 99 A-star to not close off the show. We have one more angle, I guess, after this. 99 A-star, though, as Ric Flair and Chris Benoit continued their beatdown on Diamond Dallas Page, despite the bell ringing, of course. Benoit looks to live up to his nickname, the Canadian Crippler, as he goes to cripple Diamond Dallas Page. I don't know how, but I'd imagine that's what Dusty Rhodes goes. He's trying to live up to his name at the Crippler, and he's trying to cripple Diamond Dallas Page right now. I make someone a while back was waiting to hear my Dusty Rhodes impersonation, and I'm pretty sure I did it, but every time I do one, I feel like I sound like more of a Cartman and less of a Dusty Rhodes. Like I said, he's trying to cripple DDP, but out comes the former WCW World Champion, Kurt Angle, who runs down to make the save. Flair and Benoit abandon the ring before Angle can get his hands on them. He does go on to check on DDP before grabbing the mic, and he goes, "Where you going, cowards? Where you going? That's right, run away with your tails between your legs. But mark my words, I'm coming for you. Oh, you bet it's true. It's damn true. But while I've got a mic, I've got some things I want to get off my chest. I've had a lot of people tell me, Kurt, you're an idiot. Your dreams of a company merger will never happen. And well, now's the time that you can say you told me so, because WCW has their belt back, and I've got no negotiating powers, and it wasn't like anyone was on my side in the first place. But since day one of this war, I've had my head in the wrong place. Mr. McMahon has never given me a reason not to trust him. And I've done nothing but betray his trust." Let's just ignore that promo. Well, that ends here, because I've been chasing the pawn when I need to be going after the king. Rick, you cost me the WCW championship, and now I'm going to put you in that retirement home, because I'm going to break your freaking ankle and put you in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Mark my words, Flair, I will get my hands on you. And I guess that's kind of a grim way to go out, but Kurt Angle is dead set on putting Ric Flair in, I don't want to say early retirement, because I believe he's like 40, 50 years old, but he's dead set on putting Ric Flair in retirement nonetheless. Of course, Bobby Heenan and Tenay, not good. Benoit came across well. Kurt Angle looked good, gained heat for the feuds. 99 A-star, who's ever going to complain about that? But before we can end off the show, once again, the announcers are trying to send us all home, but they're notified that we're being notified right now that Stone Cold Steve Austin is trying to break in to the arena. So we cameras, go back there, and we see Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rhino battling off WCW stars like Power Plant, like Ron Simmons, like Chuck Palumbo. William Regal, he's all, calling them, sending for backup. They're, battling them off while we switch over to another camera, this time onto the door of Goldberg, and we hear some sort of commotion going on behind the door of Goldberg's locker room until an officer is thrown through the door. The door busts down and an officer is seen laying on top of it as Goldberg just stands over him. A couple other officers are sitting there trying to hold Goldberg back, but he fights them all off, and he starts making his way towards the parking lot. Regal's sitting there pretty much begging and pleading, Goldberg, please stand back. We don't need this kind of trouble. But Goldberg shoves William Regal down, and he goes right after Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Austin and Goldberg are starting to brawl back and forth in the parking lot. Goldberg's got the advantage, taking down Austin, tossing him around the whole parking lot, eventually tossing him onto a hood of a car, beating him down on there before Rhino comes over and tries to battle off Goldberg. Goldberg takes down Rhino, pushes him away, but when he takes his eyes off of Austin, somehow Stone Cold Steve Austin's able to land a very stiff punch right into the gut of Goldberg, because he just heels over, falls down, and just grabs his gut. He starts spitting out blood, like coughing up blood and spitting it out, and Austin just kind of stands over him with a smile on his face before, seeing the rest of the WCW guys kind of coming his way. Rhino screams at him to get in the car because he's got the getaway car. Austin gets in the car. They drive off. Austin drops something before he gets in the car, and Regal starts calling for the paramedics while maybe Ron Simmons, because he's kind of the veteran, he discovers what Austin left behind, and it's a pair of brass knuckles. Ron Simmons picks up the brass knuckles while Regal's looking over, calling for the paramedics, and finally they meet eye to eye. Power Plant's looking at the knuckles, Palumbo's looking at the brass knuckles. They all kind of look at Regal suspiciously. Regal's kind of sitting there like, oh boy, what's going on here? And the show ends with Goldberg just coughing out blood. Austin and Rhino drive away, and Regal is he's got a lot of heat on him right now, because who's the one person we all know that uses brass knuckles? Nonetheless, announcing quality helped out this time around, apparently. Steve Austin was good. Rhino was fantastic. Goldberg was a real star, but unfortunately, Lord Steven Regal performed poorly. Gained some heat to the storyline, though, so that's good stuff. Rhino's improving in his acting, as is Mark Jindrak. Mark Jindrak takes advantage of, every moment he's on the camera. Good God, Mark Jindrak, why are you a star? You're amazing. I can't wait for the post-Mania to, push Mark Jindrak. Spoiler report, Mark Jindrak staying on the roster. Nonetheless, what happens? I had a feeling this was going to be my downfall, but I figured, for one, I thought Daphne was Vampiro's manager, so I figured that Daphne would have, been there for this, but also, Trish being there, so I figured she would help, but I figured that might help, come back to bite us, and it did. Not enough attractive women on our show to satisfy our core male audience, so there you go. We had a 241, whatever the hell that means. It still increased our popularity in one region, so I'm not complaining. It's not like we lost popularity anywhere. 88B+, nothing to scoff at. Back-to-back 99s. I didn't even realize that. That's amazing. So, our perverted male audience could be our downfall half the time with these. Like I said, I thought Daphne was there, but she wasn't, so like I said, as R-Truth would say, my bad, guys. My bad. That's on me. I suspected it, but it happens. What do we... Noah Civil War Tour. Oh, God. Who's the Iron Man and who's the Captain America? All right. Viewers, it's been awesome. Show is getting fantastic reviews. Hell yes. CM Punk. He works for Noah, apparently. Is he written by them? I'm confused. I'm not confused, but he's just touring. Okay. I was about to say, I thought he worked for NWA. Nonetheless, there you go. CM Punk doing his thing. He's apparently teaming up with... I'm not even going to try to attempt to pronounce that name. Kenshiro Arai? Okay. Uh-oh. WWC against NWA Wildside. Don't we have a bond with them? They're going against our developmental guys. What is this? Hold on. Nothing really of note here. John Zandig and Victor Javoka. Victor Javoka and Ian Rotten. How come it doesn't say it on this one? And Danny Davis. So Victor Javoka making enemies here. Super Callow frustrated. Unfortunate. What do we got? DDP. Tank Abbott can't sell worth a damn, in my opinion. He needs to learn how to work. Okay. Rhino says, Devon Dudley isn't charismatic. You should release him and hire someone better. Oh my God. Rhino is merciless. Guess that happens though. What is they're mad. Vampiro's mad that he didn't get to go off script. Oh, you didn't let me go off script. Here's a $20,000 bonus. Shut the hell up. There you go. That'll help. Shut him up. That's going to be the end of this episode, though. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor. Leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. As always, my name has been OMGWTF, LWF to WBRB. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams. I don't give a damn. All the social media accounts out there. And if you feel like you got a buddy out there who would enjoy my content, don't forget to show them the video. Show them a video of mine. Help me gain some new subscribers here. Join the family. And maybe you can help me out in another way as well. I've got some buddies in my description down below. You can always check them out. Check some of their content out as well. You can check out the Raging Yoshi. He's doing a Let's Play of Final Fantasy X, I believe. At least I believe that is the Roman numeral for X. Persona 4, which I'd highly recommend. My buddy Zach is always active on Twitch, doing Smite, some wrestling games, and what's not. And of course, you got my man Senor Conqueso doing his things as well. Check them out. I've got some other people on there who aren't as active as well, but you can always check out their past content. And yeah, that's about it. I've got nothing else to tell you guys, so I will see you guys for everyone's favorite show, WWF Heat. And yeah, we'll keep moving on the road to WrestleMania. Have a good one, guys.